for the most part, there seem to be a lot of different services and different languages and stuff. Do you find that they all, like, do you do events all together? Do you integrate?
Very, very few.
Okay.
You know, the cultures are so distinct one from each other, but it's only very rarely that we have something all together. Maybe 4 or 5 times a year. Mostly it's you know, the Hispanic group, the Chinese group, the Vietnamese, a smaller group, and the I don't know what you call the Caucasians, the English speaking, mostly older people here, the ones who have lived here most of their lives, you know.
Okay.
Actually, we've come across this before. Do you feel that religion tends to unite the people, or is it still that language barrier in between that at least keeps different cultures from intermingling, even though they share the same?
Well, it certainly is the language and culture barrier. You know, this would be one common meeting ground, something that does bind us together. But I think because most of the folks here are recent immigrants, you know, that they're insulated in their own particular culture. Even the Hispanics, you know, there's about 5 or 6 different main groups here: Dominicans, Ecuadorians, Mexicans, and Puerto Ricans.
And still speaking the mother tongue.
Yes. All of the children, though, seem to be English speakers, even among the Chinese. And I think probably the place where we probably come together the best has to do with our religious instruction program. So we have religious education, kind of Sunday school type of thing on Sundays, and it's in English. But so most of the kids there, they're people who have grown up here. So it's English there, but you know, their parents are Spanish speaking, so we have to, you know, be attentive to both of them. But I think it's probably the best place of encounter. But I would also say that there's very few English speaking, real Caucasians. Most of these are Hispanic surnames, and right.
Actually, you raise a very good point. Would you say that the children of immigrants who actually grow up speaking English are actually able to easier, I wouldn't say integrate, but at least cross the cultural
for sure, yeah, for sure. Okay. And it has to do with television and school mainly. You know that they've grown up here. So like when you got me there at a mass, when the kids are coming out, you know, I'll mostly talk to them in English, you know, ask them how they're doing in school or something like that. But you know, they would know Spanish certainly in the earlier years before they go into school. But I think they're when I hear them talking among themselves, it's mostly in English.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Do you know anything about like the history of the church and when like different groups and different language services were incorporated into it?
Pretty much. When this parish was founded, this was kind of like the suburbs. You know, when my grandparents moved here, I would say the neighborhood at that time was the Catholic community was largely Irish or German or Polish. But I think there was only at that time the Catholic Mass was in Latin all throughout the world. So, but I think there was only one language that they used for the preaching and conducting business. But you know, there would be priests who would speak Italian, or I think Italian might have been the second group. The neighborhood had a lot of Scandinavian people, Norwegians and Finns. They would have mainly been Lutherans, and the neighborhood probably began to receive an influx of. There were Puerto Ricans probably in the late 50s and early 60s, and the neighborhood, and very early in the parish's time here, they were already seeing that they were here, and we were able to minister to them in Spanish. So the Spanish taking care of the Spanish immigrants now has been more than 40 years, you know. So, but as I said, the different there's a constant flux and change here. That this is I would say it's a working class poor neighborhood. You know, it's not a terrible slum. It's you know, it's not dangerous. I don't feel too dangerous. You know, but there's a lot of people. Most of the Spanish folks will probably live in apartments, and sometimes they're sharing apartments. You know, with another family or maybe even two families. So they're pretty cooped up there.
Do you know about, does the church, we already spoke about, you know, the different cultures intermingling, but you mentioned events. Like, do you have events that specifically cater to, like, maybe one ethnicity versus another, or do you try and cross that boundary?
You know, I don't think homogenization is our goal. I think it's caring for the people the way they are now. You know, another generation, probably in another place, when these kids, you know, grow up and go to college. You know, that will probably happen. I think for us, this is the church is for certainly for Catholic people who come from Catholic countries is something familiar in a very unfamiliar and a very hostile place. When you come as a foreigner to a foreign country, you know, as an immigrant or, you know, an undocumented, you know, it's so you look for something familiar, and I think that's the wonderful gift that we would give to the folks here, a place that feels familiar to them. You know, as they begin to make their life here. So we would, I would say the healthiest and biggest, certainly in numbers and also in health, and the younger part of our community is the Hispanic community. And there's a lot of activities I think that would probably be more, you know, just for their group.
Do you have anything to say about like this church's? I mean, I think most of this has been covered. But, like this church's sort of role in the community, like what kind of services it offers, Sunset Park.
Well, you know, as the first point of contact, you know, for when some people come here, it's kind of a clearinghouse to get people to other things. We have associated with the parish a service for helping people get their immigration status fixed. I think that's probably one of our best works. You know, the immigration laws are very complicated, and they make people jump through hoops. And there's a group that's their main ministry. I think it's probably the most needed one. And then there's, you know, you want to call it first aid with you know, helping people with food or, you know, things like that, you know. But
are there any cultural differences that you know really that like differ across the services? You know, that things that you have to take into account, or like days that you might have a service for.
Well,
one group.
I would say this happens in every parish, every Catholic parish. There's turf wars. You know, you want to use the church or a part of the parish plan for an activity, and you have so it's a big job to coordinate. You know, that people are not stepping on each other's toes. I would think that. We have one song that we sing at church here. It's called "All Are Welcome." You know, let us build a house where love can grow, and it says all are welcome in this place. So it's a big place, and there's a lot of spaces, but it's coordinating so that you don't step on each other's toes, and you recognize the different cultures. I think the thing that surprises me most is. You know, the Hispanic cultures, you know, there's a strong nationalism for each of them, and they all would have a special devotion to Mary, the Blessed Mother, and